black activist punched at Donald Trump event. Was he a plant? Black activist punched at Donald Trump's event. Was he a plant? Thank you for tuning in today to the Black Political Buzz Network, and this is Laurel. Now, by now, everyone has heard in the media about the incident that occurred at a Donald Trump rally on Saturday, in which a Black Lives Matter activist, he was a male black activist wearing a Black Lives Matter shirt, he was punched and attacked by some of the attendees at the Donald Trump event in Birmingham, Alabama. This event occurred in Birmingham, Alabama, the Deep South. Now, before you start to say that's racism and see how white people treat black people, no, let's just stop and reassess the situation. You got a black dude wearing a Black Lives Matter shirt attending the Donald Trump event. Now, none of Donald Trump's security prohibited or stopped this man from attending the event. So before you want to call Donald Trump a racist, before you want to label Donald Trump as a racist or label the people who jumped on the black dude as a racist, let's look at the situation here and assess it properly. Number one, there were none of Donald Trump's security staff that prevented this black male, this black guy wearing this Black Lives Matter shirt from entering the event. So if Donald Trump was a racist, then his security would have stopped the guy from coming into the event. Number one. Number two, the guy comes to the event, and while Donald Trump is speaking, he starts yelling out, "Black Lives Matter, Black Lives Matter, Black Lives Matter," while Donald Trump is speaking. That's disruptive. That is a disruptive act. I don't care. I know he's a protester, and I know that's what protesters do. It doesn't matter if they're white protesters, Latino protesters, black ones, black people who protest. I know that that's what they do. They yell out like that during an event. That's why they call protesters. They protest and stop and disrupt an event. That's why they call protesters. But that's what he did. He began to yell out Black Lives Matter. And number three, the people that jumped on him and started beating him, they weren't trying to kill him. They just tried to shut him up. And Donald Trump had a security to take the guy out. Now, I think this was a plant. I think the guy was a plant. Either the guy was a plant sent there by the Democrats or the Black Lives Matter movement, or he was a plant sent there by Donald Trump to prove to the white people that he's not going to put up with this kind of stuff. Either way, a plant is a plant. It doesn't matter if the guy was a plant, a paid plant, a paid, P-A-I-D plant, sent there by the Democratic Party or the Black Lives Matter movement, or if he was a paid plant told to come there and do what he did by Donald Trump's campaign. A paid plant is a paid plant. But I just wanted y'all to think about that before you start saying Trump is a racist. Before you start saying Donald Trump hates black people and he's a racist and all that. If the guy was a plant and he was there to protest, paid to protest, that's what he was paid to do. Now, I have a video. I have a video that I previously recorded about the Black Lives Matter movement that I don't agree with their stance anymore. I initially agreed with the Black Lives Matter movement because they were protesting against police brutality against unarmed black men. So I initially was on board with the Black Lives Matter movement. But when they started popping up at events, political events, even Hillary Clinton's event, I repeat, when they even, crashed Hillary Clinton's event, I was like, what is this? I mean, how can you expect these political candidates for 2016 to take you seriously or take black voters seriously if you're going to be crashing everyone's event? Sit down and talk to these people. If you want a platform, if you want Black Lives Matter to be included in the presidential debate or the platform, sit down with these people. Schedule an appointment. Schedule an appointment with the campaign staffers, with their staff, with the campaign candidate staff, and tell them that you would like to see, this police brutality issue against unarmed black men to be included in the debate or, in their platform, and tell them that you want to work with them to help resolve this issue. But crashing their events and acting crazy is not going to resolve. It's not going to resolve anything. It's not going to resolve anything, because what are you doing? You're making black people look bad. The white voters are not going to take our issues seriously. And, that's probably what President Obama wants, because President Obama has a anti-pro-black agenda. He's had an anti-pro-black agenda for the past 6 to 7 years. So I'm not on board with this type of behavior. There's a way to do things to get issues resolved and get a resolution. And yes, sometimes you do need to be loud. Sometimes a loud voice, gets things done. Sometimes the loud voice is the squeaky wheel. Sometimes the loud voice is the squeaky wheel. Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. stated that rioters, the voice of rioters is the voice of the unheard. He once quoted that the voice of the rioters, people who riot, are the voices of the unheard. But once you get someone's attention, then let's try a different approach. Okay, so you riot or you protest, you get their attention, but then what are you going to do next? It's time to sit down and talk out some issues. Not just keep doing the same thing over and over again, crashing people's events, going, Black Lives Matter. No, all lives matter. Black lives do matter. We know that. I'm black too. I'm black. I'm all for black lives, because I'm a black citizen. I'm a black human being. I have black family members. So yes, I'm all for black lives mattering. Black lives do matter. But there's a way to do it. There's a way to do it. There's a way to get positive results for what you need for the black community in America. And let's do it in a way where we can get some respect. Now, what happened in Baltimore earlier this year? I'm telling you right now, I'm not on board for rioting, but those young people had gone for decades living like that. Those young black, I am not excusing the behavior of the Baltimore rioters. I'm not. But those young black people in Baltimore, West Baltimore, who went shell, who just lost it earlier this year, they had been living like that for decades and getting treated like animals and as if they were invisible. They had to do what they did. Those people in Ferguson, those black people in Ferguson have been living like that for decades. I am not advocating rioting and tearing up a city. I'm not saying that that's what you should do. Those black people in Ferguson have been living like that for decades. Dr. King says that the voice of the rioters is the voice of the unheard. That was necessary. What happened in Watts, California years ago? That was necessary. What happened in LA years ago after the Rodney King trial verdict, when those cops were all dismissed, acquitted, that was necessary. What happened in Baltimore, West Baltimore earlier this year, that was necessary. What happened in Ferguson last year was necessary. I'm not advocating rioting. So don't say that, Black Political Buzz says you should go out there and riot. No, I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is that can't be your only approach, or that can't be your only way to get a problem resolved. And if you use that tactic to get someone's attention, then after you get their attention, then what? Then what? So that black guy who attended that Donald Trump event yesterday, wearing that Black Lives Matter shirt, and he was jumped on by some white attendees, he may have been a plant. Hey, Black Lives Matter activists, it's time for you all to start sitting down with the candidates. Start sitting down with them. If you want a more effective approach, okay, you have their attention. You already have Donald Trump's attention. You already have Hillary Clinton's attention. You already have the attention of the Democratic Party and the RNC. You have their attention. Now what? Now what? It's time to sit down at the table to address these issues. Once you get their attention and they hear your voice, once they hear your voice, once the powers that be hear your voice, then what? You can't just keep screaming and hollering and crashing events. You have their attention. They want to know, what do you want? What do you have to say? What are your solutions? What are your solutions? Not just keep crashing events going, Black Lives Matter, because they're not going to listen to us. They're going to laugh at us if you keep doing that. If you keep doing that, they're going to laugh at us. They're not going to take us seriously. What is your next plan of action? Black Lives Matter activists, you have everyone's attention. Now, what is your next plan of action? Stop crashing these events. Stop crashing these events and lay out your plan of action and talk it out. Black activists punched at Donald Trump's event. Was he a plant? I believe he was. Thank you for tuning in today to the Black Political Buzz Network. This is Laura speaking. Thank you. Have a great afternoon and goodbye.